Welcome back. Today we are going to be flying out one of the most expensive planes in the game. The lowest BR jet in the game as well, the P-59A. And at 5.3, especially back when it had 600 rounds per gun, this thing was really... it was pay to win. It still kinda is, but it's not as stupid as it once was. The main strength of this plane lies in the fact that you are one of the fastest planes at the BR, while also being able to turn with virtually everyone. Because this thing just has a massive wing. I mean, you can tell it's super big. It just doesn't stall out. And that's really the main thing here. You can almost fight everyone in the dogfight. And if you don't want to, you can run away from almost everyone as well. Now here we have an N1K. He dives on us. We kind of cut in. And we just kind of make sure that we don't turn in front of him. Sure, our climb rate isn't the best. Sure, our retention isn't fantastic. But we are still a jet. So if you keep these high speeds up, which I'm doing by managing my turn and neck G'ing with my keyboard so I don't hammer the elevator too much. And then the second you get position, you just slam that pitch up key. And just like that, you turn in with absolutely zero effort. And that's the beauty of this plane. Now it does have some weaknesses, but we will get to that in a minute here. We are going to be looking at a second N1K that should appear on the horizon any second now. There he is, it's Warm Jaw. And we are just going to try to do the exact same thing. However, right now we aren't particularly fast. We don't have much altitude to dive here, and he has more speed, more altitude. He's going to be catching us, no way around it. So what do? For now I'm just going to keep it straight. I just want to get as much speed in the straight line as possible. Just so I can push beyond my straight line speed with a little bit of a dive. He's coming in, he's still catching us. We're going 540 about. And that's fine. I mean, he will probably catch us and I can disengage from this position right here. However, we are alone right now. It's one N1K. And we're just gonna do the exact same thing again. So I'm gonna dive underneath him, make him pick up a little bit of extra speed, make him compress, commit to the roll, then we roll the other way. This time, however, we actually are gonna slam the elevator, because he's just going that much quicker than us. And look at this bullshit. I instantly get on this guy 6, we set him on fire, and he is out of the match. Now, there is one issue, two issues with this plane actually. The first one is, and this is also just my skill issue, aiming the damn thing. It's an absolute pain in the ass to get lined up. It's super awkward. The 37 is kind of a weird velocity. It's mounted weird. I don't know what it is. It's the same thing that I have with P-38. I just can't handle it. I'm not really sure what it is. And of course the fact that you don't have a lot of burst mass when it comes to actually going for head-ons, deflection shots, stuff like that. Luckily this is countered by being able to stall basically everyone out. We have a K4 here. We have a bit of speed still, 420-ish. I just wait for him to kind of pitch up for us. Once he gets closer, I pitch in. There's no way he can ever pitch up for us. We just loop over, and just like that, we instantly gun him down. Now, at these kind of speeds, the guns are fine. But even then, you can tell that it's kind of floaty. It's very slow to react to movement, both with mouse and with keyboard. It's kind of like swimming through jelly. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but it doesn't feel very reactive, and that's, in my opinion, the biggest weakness. If this thing, for example, had 2 or 3 A&M3s in the nose with like 200 rounds, it would have been much better, and it probably would be 6.0 right now. And then of course we have the second weakness, which is the climb rate. And the climb rate is definitely not very competitive, especially at 5.7 now. You can still negate the enemy's climb rate by just going straight and being able to outrun virtually everyone that isn't a jet. Because now at 5.7 you might run into a few more planes like the Yak 15s, the Heinkel 162, perhaps even something like the 262A2. You know, planes that can catch you. The nice thing is, everyone that catches you, they will be outturned by you. And anything you catch, you will almost always outturn as well. Now there are some exceptions, like Spitflyer said about 3 or 4 years ago by now. He said that you can dogfight A6N2s in this thing, A6N5s, you know, A7Ms. It's not happening. You can, however, dogfight them if you have a lot of entry speed. And that's just because you are going so fast and you still turn well enough to stall them out. Kind of fall on top of them and just kill them that way. That is completely reliable, and I'll show you an example at the end of this game. But if you go into a merge, both going 400, the A6M is going to absolutely rinse your ass. And there is really no way around it. RA2005 here, kind of in a similar sense. He does turn a little bit worse, but we can still showcase it. He does turn better than us, they're kind of scary to dogfight. But, you can tell, I just stay above his nose. And I'm gonna lose speed very quickly here. But now we go down. I'm gonna use my flaps. And I would have turned in right here. However, we unlucky have... Yeah, I try to showcase stuff and there's always a teammate there. I'm not gonna blame him for it. I'm just setting him up. But I'm trying to showcase you. I hope it does give you a little bit of an indication. We have an A6M5. Now, we are going 620. He is going nowhere near that. So I can just dogfight him. I'm gonna extend a little bit. I'm gonna open up the gap. And then I'm just gonna loop on over him. He doesn't have the climb rate here or the speed to pitch up for us. He's going way too slow. And we can just kind of drop on top of him. Absolutely terrific aim. But when you merge going twice the speed of a 0, this thing does turn well enough to just shoot him down basically instantly. Now you might ask, how in the hell do I fight this thing? Well, it depends a little bit on what you are flying, but in general you want to be above it, first of all, and you want him to commit to the fight. You kind of force a stalemate with it, because if you fight on this thing's terms, you're probably going to lose. So you just want to kind of sit behind it first and foremost, and you want to bleed it of its energy. If this thing has more energy than you, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If this thing has more energy than you, you're not gonna do much. You're gonna struggle tremendously, unless of course the P-59A pilot has absolutely no clue what they are doing. The issue with the P-59A is, once it runs out of energy, it is not gonna be getting it back very fast. This makes it very susceptible for 2v1s and stuff like that. If you have planes that turn relatively well, you want to gang up on this thing. You do not want this thing to roam around, work its way from top to bottom and just sit above the entire lobby. That is the absolute worst case scenario if you are facing one of these things. So you want to get behind it, above it, and just kind of drain its balls. It's easier to say than to do, and it really relies on whether or not the P-59 makes mistakes. Because if the P-59 makes mistakes, and he's gonna die. If the P-59 doesn't make many mistakes, and even if he does, but he corrects them correctly, this thing is virtually untouchable. And to give you an indication, I did 42 games in the thing. I haven't died yet, and I lost once. Which should give you a bit of a show of, if you play this thing correctly, if you play this thing safe, and no one is really gonna do much to you, but I'm gonna warn you. Flying it safe is definitely not the most fun way to fly this thing. Because a lot of fights you just can't take. Because they are above you, they are behind you. They are in planes like the Yak 3Us, they are in planes like the LF Mark 9. And you're just kind of forced to run away. You need to wait until you equalize the energy. And if they don't want to drop their altitude to engage you because they know what you are doing, you can't touch them the same way they can touch you. And it's annoying. It's very boring to fly that way, and I did it to prove a point that it is untouchable, that it is really, really strong. But I'm not gonna tell you that it's the most fun to fly it. It's definitely more fun to just kind of send it into dogfights, do things like this. Well, this isn't really risky because I have way more energy than the guy. I'm going faster in a straight line than he can, and I'm already like a kilometer above him. So I kind of just break off. I then tighten up the loop. There's no way he can pull into this. And we just get a shot basically instantly after I desynchronize our loops. Because look at that, I pull in behind him and I'm instantly just there. Now we hold the trigger down, we miss all the rounds, 37 hits his mark and he gets sent to Narnia. But the P-59, is it fun to fly? Kinda. It takes, you need some patience for it. If you have patience with this plane, you are gonna slap every prop in the lobby without a singular issue. Unless they play very passively, then you're not gonna slap them, but they are also not gonna touch you. You can just kind of ignore everyone that's behind you, as long as you don't drop at too low of an airspeed. So all in all, it's just limited by the set of guns, the responsiveness of the airframe, in terms of like getting quick kills in a 1v1, that's not as important. And of course the engines. The engines just leave something to be desired. And it does climb somewhat. It climbs a bit worse than something like the P-51D30. And that's not fantastic. It's definitely gonna be one of the lowest planes in the game. But keep in mind, a lot of people don't climb that high anymore. You will find a lot of guys just sitting on the deck. And if that happens and you get one guy above you, you can just kind of ignore the guy above you because you are faster than him. So, I mean, it's kind of a BM mobile. I'm really happy that these things aren't about too much, because I absolutely despise fighting these things, because they're just super annoying. If people are suicidal and they want to just kill you, they can't do that. This thing is like a heat-seeking missile. You dive on someone, you slam the elevator, you stall them out in 1 or 2 turns, and you can't really get away from it. However, if there's a second guy around, especially if he kind of desynchronizes his loops with his teammate, you just kind of turn yourself into a sitting duck. The retention of this thing in the horizontal is actually pretty strong. The second you start doing vertical loops, you can tell you will just lose your speed very fast. And it doesn't matter how well you turn. If you go 300 kilometers an hour, you're still kind of just hanging in place, and they will just very easily shoot you down. Here comes the Mark 9. So we just kind of loop in. We turn behind him, and just like that, we are instantly on this guy's 6. Why? Because he was going faster than us, and we lose more speed, we turn a bit tighter, and now we get to ride this guy's ass. And he needs to work quite hard to get me off him. I just need to make sure that I don't overcommit here, lose all my energy. That's the thing here. If you overcommit to a fight, you end up not being able to actually outturn him. And you are slow versus a prop, and you are on the deck, and you don't have the ability to dive out, you're done. You are not gonna be accelerating away from a prop at low speed. It's not gonna happen. He's gonna turn around, and he's gonna spray you down, and there is just nothing you can really do about it. Now, we have an RE 2005 on our right, as well as on our back, and they are both in a squad. And they have been like doing these circles around. They're trying to bait me into fighting one of them. And then after a little bit, this one actually kind of broke off. So what are we gonna do? We are gonna actually just kind of test the waters here. Just pull in straight behind him. He doesn't have the ability to pull into that. We blast him apart. And now it's only his teammate left. Now let's see what we can do about this bozo. Now, I'm gonna show you 2 ways of fighting this guy. The first one is trying to be patient, and the second one is me just kind of annoyed by him and going to the dogfight, because I just really couldn't be bothered to deal with him anymore. So we're gonna try to bait him a little bit lower. So I'm gonna dive underneath him, giving my ass, and hope that he actually dives on us and commits. I'm gonna slowly pull into this guy to make him dive more and more, because the longer this guy spends above his straight line top speed, the more speed that he, or the more energy that he will actually lose. So I'm trying to actually give him a little bit of a cut off here, so it looks like he's catching us. And then when he reaches about 1.2-ish, I'm just gonna straighten out and just leave this guy in the dust. Now the best thing here to do is put it into a gradual climb, but he notices this and he just puts it into a straight vertical. And he will get more speed out of that than we do. To a certain degree, I can pitch it straight up, but then his engine power will start taking over, because we are going at a lower speed. He climbs better than us, and then he will probably get within range, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just gonna keep it straight for a little bit. I react to him reacting to me. He gives me a little bit of room, so he isn't like actually tail-sitting me. So I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm gonna dive underneath him, and even though he has more energy than us, I am still gonna try and bait him into a bit of a fight. Now I want to get him fast, because I do know that it compresses a little bit and it's pretty unwieldy to use at higher speed. So I'm gonna end up directly below him at 700, and I'm just gonna pitch up for him. Now I do want to dodge the head-on, and I want you to take a look here. I take just the wrong roll, he takes just the right roll, and he's instantly on my 6. Now this is something that I don't want. We are both passed out, so we can't shoot, so I kind of just end up in front of his guns. And I just extend away. But look how close he is. Imagine if we were going a bit slower and the same thing happened. I would have been like 0.7 in front of him, and he would probably start out accelerating me. Now that's something that I don't want to happen. The issue now is that I am not that fast. I don't have my main strength of the P-59A. And he's above us. So all in all, this was kind of annoying to deal with. And keep in mind, the RE 2005 is not a super well performing aircraft. It's basically a 4.3 plane. But because he has so much energy, it takes me a bit to actually bleed him of it. And sure, I've gotten this guy super low now, but he just breaks off and starts climbing away. And every time I try to engage him, he just goes for the head-on, and I need to take it. And the head-on is something that I don't want to take in this plane, because he has 320mm. I have 350 cals and the 37, that's really unwieldy to aim. So head-ons are not something that I'm particularly keen on. Now we are going a little bit slower and he is running away, so I'm just gonna see if I can catch up to him. Because you can tell that I am faster than him, I will be able to get on the 6. But he is probably just gonna push the head-on once we get close, or he's gonna dive out to his airfield. It's always one or the other. You can already guess where this is going, because he is going very close to the airfield. He's just gonna run to it. But you can tell, we did equalize the energy. Just like that. But he's gonna reach the airfield before the energy equalization actually comes into play. He needs to maintain his 3 KD, dude. Incredible. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.